It's safe to say that the Age of Empires franchise has had one missing thing. You see, we had the definitive editions for 1, 2, and 3 now. Even 4 came out last year, but there was one game that I know many others wanted. What happened to Age of Mythology? Are we going to get a sequel or even a remaster? Well, everything is about to change because Age of Mythology Retold is coming soon. Just a few days ago, it was the 25th anniversary of Age of Empires. Yes, it has been that long. But Age of Mythology had a trailer. It wasn't showing any gameplay, it wasn't really showing any information, but it was announcing that there will be an Age of Mythology Retold. A sequel? Perhaps not, but most likely a remaster along the lines of a definitive edition. But this isn't Age of Mythology's first foray into a new shiny version. You see, Age of Mythology actually got some sort of a remaster all the way back in 2014. It was called Age of Mythology Extended Edition, and it added in full Steam Workshop integration and enhanced features, making it look a little bit better, a little bit nicer. So how is Age of Mythology Retold really going to work? Well, as mentioned, Microsoft have released almost nothing about this, but judging from what we got from the Age of Empires Definitive Editions, of course, we're going to get a full graphical overhaul up to 4K textures and resolutions, beautiful new animations and details on everything. I know for one that there were some models in the original Age of Empires that were so iconic to me, like infantry, swordsmen, but it was only when the definitive editions that I actually could really see, oh, that was a belt buckle, or that was a sword. That just looked like a few weird pixels to me on the original Age of Empires, and I can't wait to see that with an Age of Mythology, especially if they bring in the Titans. That was an expansion for the original, and hopefully it will be implemented within this remastered version. Of course, we should be getting a completely enhanced and new soundtrack, much like the definitive editions, and Age of Mythology does have a very iconic soundtrack, as you're about to hear. Along with Steam Workshop integration and maybe even new civilizations, because you see, Age of Empires 2 and 1 definitive editions, and even 3 to some extent, have not only been completely remastered for modern systems, but also have put them back into the limelight of development processes. The Microsoft Age of Empires team and Relic has been expanded so much that they're now able to support all of these games at once, even recently still bringing out updates and new factions to Age of Empires 2 and 3. And this hopefully means that we're going to get some expansions and extra content additions to Age of Mythology Retold that we never saw before. As mentioned, I really hope we get Titans. That would be a fantastic addition. I cannot wait for this. Age of Mythology is my game. Look, Age of Empires 2 is great. I even really enjoy Age of Empires 1 and 4 and... Okay, look, 3's okay. But Age of Mythology and AoE 2 are the goats of the franchise. There were some things that didn't quite work in Age of Mythology, like the population and housing situation. Hopefully that can sort of be rounded out to fit with the Age of Empires games of later years. But being able to recruit Cyclopses, Colossuses, having the gods' power, putting locusts on the enemy towns, or even building Titans and spawning them out to crush your enemies was so satisfying, and I cannot wait to do that in beautiful native 4K resolutions. But Relic aren't done yet. You see, Age of Mythology Retold was a fantastic announcement, but there wasn't really all that much information. Yet, as it's the 25th anniversary of Age of Empires as a series in general, we got way more to get our hands on. Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4 are coming to consoles, and I'm meaning the definitive edition for 2, by the way. There will be some new additions to these console versions that we don't get in the PC version, mostly because it seems like they're actually going down the cross-play route, which is incredibly surprising. Crossplay doesn't really work even in first-person shooter games, let alone strategy games. Trying to put buildings down with a controller at the same speed as someone with a mouse and keyboard seems impossible, right? Well, it seems Relic haven't confirmed that there's crossplay, but they're definitely going down that route. You can actually play with a keyboard or mouse on the console versions. That's cool, right? But not necessarily useful for a lot of console players. Unless you're a YouTuber or a hardcore esports person, you're not really going to be playing your console sitting at a desk. So how are you going to be able to compete with these keyboard and mouse players? Well, they will be adding in some AI support to help you. I'm assuming this is things like repeated troop recruitment, building and researching things that will be done without you having to click every single button. Of course, PC players do have things like hotkeys to be able to micromanage these smaller aspects of the game and really get into the macros, but hopefully these AI assistants will help the console version to at least try and compete with PC players. But it should be noted that if anyone is looking to play a competitive experience with Age of Empires, the PC version is still always going to be the way to go. Yet I am so happy that it is coming to consoles. It's really interesting to see how Microsoft are going to do this. Strategy games have fared infamously bad on console systems and have had weird controls that haven't quite worked. The only ones that seem to have kind of worked for me at least are something like Supreme Commander. However, if anyone can do it on a console, it's Microsoft who, well, own the game and the platform. Age of Empires 2 will be coming out on January of 2023, so within the next few months, yet there is still no release date for Age of Empires 4 on console. But they're not done yet. We're also getting Age of Empires Mobile, and that's an interesting one for me, because I actually thought, finally. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't play mobile games at all. Through the decade or so that I've actually been buying my own phones, I have never installed a game on one. Oh god, I'm exposing myself as mobile ad sponsorships. Yet I have seen the amount of Age of Empires rip-offs on mobile, whether it's just ads or full games that are trying to pretend like they're Age of Empires. It seemed like there was a massive want for some sort of AoE on mobile devices, and finally Microsoft have woken up and they're actually doing it. Now, it could be a complete disaster, a microtransaction-laden haven, but at least there will be an official version and not downloading some terrible app that's going to charge you 50 quid to skip 3 minutes. And finally, Age of Empires 4 is having an anniversary edition. Yeah, it's been a year since the release and it's been mixed success. I, for one, really have enjoyed Age of Empires 4. I think it is a brilliant game. It still doesn't quite live up to the heights of AoE 2 and especially the definitive edition, but I've seen the criticisms from a more hardcore fan base of the Age of Empires franchise, perhaps taking it a bit too far in the casual direction. But there will be an anniversary edition coming out with new civilizations, such as the Malians and the Ottomans. Almost a content expansion and patch for people that have been playing it for years, and it is kind of a little bit weird why they'd be doing this now. I get it, maybe just to boost up sales a year after, because Age of Empires 4 has been pretty successful, but that always tapers off, especially after a year. So it'll be interesting to see how much this gives a boost. And also, I think since there has been a bit of negativity around the fourth game in the franchise, a re-release perhaps is something that Microsoft thought was needed. However, there is a ton of Age of Empires news. 25 years after the initial release, and this franchise is still going, and not only still going, but still more relevant than ever. I absolutely adore these games, and I cannot wait for a new Age of Mythology. That is the one that I think we are all truly waiting for.